Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be reading this story that I found off of the subreddit Let's Not Meet. A little trigger warning: if you find anything that has to do with like being stalked or stalkers triggering, I suggest you to click out of the video because it's probably not going to be your cup of tea. Anyways, let's start. When I was a freshman in college in October of 2018, a guy I'll call Ron Jones stalked me. I met Ron through one of our mutual friends, Chris, because they were in a school club together. When I met Ron, I thought he was kind of strange, but he was nice and seemed interesting. He claimed to be Slavic and had an accent to back that up. I thought he might just seem weird because of the cultural differences. I go to school in a rural southern area, and I figured the culture shock between here and wherever he came from was a lot to handle. Anyway, we exchanged numbers and texted infrequently for a couple of weeks. On October 3rd, 2018, a friend and I went to a drag show on our campus. We weren't out super late, but it was dark when the show ended and we began walking back to our dorm. I'd been texting Ron a bit during the night because he was unable to get tickets to the drag show and he wanted to know how it was. At some point in the conversation, I mentioned that I wanted to grab some orange juice on the way back to the dorm. Don't know why I mentioned that to him. I think I was just making conversation. My friend and I stopped in the convenience store near our building so we could get said orange juice, and Ron was already there. He said something about buying the juice for me, but I thanked him and declined. He got kind of mad and started to walk away, which was odd to me, but I let it go. My friend and I walked out of the store and saw that he was standing outside. Our dorm was actually right across from the building the convenience store was in, so he saw us enter the building. My friend and I parted ways and I walked up to my room, which was on the second floor of the building facing the convenience store. I kick myself for doing this now, but I went to the window, opened it, and yelled to Ron when I saw that he was still standing there. I apologized for declining his offer to buy the juice for me because I felt like I had been rude. Guilty conscience, I guess. He stood below my window and started talking to me about random stuff, and at one point, he said something that was odd. He was like, "Can I flirt with you? I enjoy doing that." And I just laughed and said, okay, because I had no clue how to respond to that, and I just figured that he was a flirtatious person. Stupid, I know. But that was not the dumbest thing that I did. I ended up going outside to sit and talk to Ron for a little bit because I felt bad about being rude earlier. As if declining somebody's offer to buy you something is rude. Jeez. While we were outside, he didn't say anything of note, and he was acting pretty normal. I got cold outside, and he asked if we could go inside to talk, and I said sure. At this point in the year, I had several guy friends over my room just to do work and chat, so I didn't see an issue with it, and things started out normally, but quickly, they got scary. Out of nowhere, Ron basically turned into a different person when we were alone in my room. He stopped blinking, he held eye contact super intensely, and he started laughing in this really low, creepy way. On top of all that, his Slavic accent disappeared. That's when he told me he lied about being Slavic, and that he's actually native to the state our college is in. When he got increasingly more creepy, and there was nothing I could do about it because I had a single room in my freshman year. At one point, he grabbed me in a hug and wouldn't let go of me until I said, "Let go of me right now," 3 times or so. He told me that he'd done a lot of bad things and that if I wanted to put him in jail, he could give me names of people who had evidence against him. He said he hates Jews and black people and everyone until they gave him a reason not to hate him. He said a lot of weird, nearly sexual stuff to me as well. Like he went on about how showering alone isn't fun and that it's better to do it with another person and that he wouldn't mind if I wanted to do it. Keep in mind that he had a girlfriend and he acknowledged that. He even said he'd go after me if he weren't dating somebody, which freaked me out. He asked if he could sleep in my room, which I said no to, and I used that to tell him that I was ready for bed and that he needed to leave. As he left, he said, "Do you really want to know how unsecure the locks on your door are?" He also pulled out a few IDs out of his wallet, with all different names. I closed the door on him and looked through the peephole. He stood there, looking at the door for an uncomfortably long time before leaving. After that, he called me multiple times throughout the month, always at weird times. He started appearing everywhere I was around campus. The friend who had introduced us, Chris, actually started walking everywhere with me because he noticed Ron following me around and lurking around corners when I couldn't see him. Apparently, he was around me a lot more than I realized because Chris began carrying a knife whenever we went places. Ron was everywhere. He would come up to me and put his arm over me and whisper stuff like, "We really need to talk," whenever he saw me. For a while, he would lurk outside my dorm, but all of that stopped all of a sudden one day. I later found out that Chris had told my RA about Ron and that he had been banned from my building. I hadn't done that myself because I thought I was overreacting. I wasn't. I blocked him on my phone and he hasn't contacted me since. He did apologize to me one day on campus last semester when we ran into each other, and I was actually willing to accept it and move on until recently. So here I am, 2 years later, and everything that happened with Ron has come back up again. I found out recently that he has a history of stalking women. Like, an extensive history going back at least 5 years. I met another victim of his who he had stalked before coming to my university. She had gone to community college for a bit, and he stalked her while he was also a student there. He also followed her into our university, apparently being suspended from the school after 3 separate stalking incidents were linked to him. The victim I met told me something worrying. Ron is currently an RA on our campus, and she was one of his residents. When she told the residential office that Ron had stalked her in the past, they told her all they could do was have her move dorms, which she did. Then they couldn't do anything to discipline him because the stalking didn't occur at our university. She and I both reported our experience with him to the residential office, who then tipped off the campus police, who then spoke to the dean of students. The thing is though, when I gave his name to the residential office, they had no idea who I was talking about. He'd given me a fake first and last name, and I had to do a lot of searching to find out his real name. I knew he was sketchy when I saw the 4 separate IDs in his wallet, and I didn't ever think he gave me a fake name when I met him. After talking to the residential living, I talked to the police. When I talked to the police, they didn't seem to care about what I had to say. Actually, the officer I spoke to talked over me while I was explaining all the times he had followed me and said that he heard all he needed to hear. I spoke to the dean of students, who asked me some clarifying questions about the police report he'd received. The police mixed up several details of my story with stories of other victims. Apparently, more than just myself and the girl I met have come forward with information about this person. There are even reports that he got physical with 2 separate people before coming to this university. Last week I saw him on campus. He is still an RA, even though multiple women have spoken to higher-ups about his behavior. If I ever hear from him, I'm issuing a no-contact order to ensure he stays away from me. Right now, though, I feel like it's too much of a hassle because we're all going home for a 2-month break due to COVID education anyway. That's kind of it. It's anticlimactic and there's no sense of justice in all of this, but hopefully this story teaches you all to stay on your toes and not to think you're overreacting when someone is being sketchy. Stay safe out there, guys. And that's pretty much all for today, guys. Again, if you want to read this story, the link will be down below. And if you want to see more of my art, follow me on Instagram and subscribe for more Storytime Speedpaints. Bye!